Hello everybody, how you doing out there? Welcome to another episode of WIAGW!
I am the stone.
If I wanna watch anime, and you got a problem with that, you can suck my dick!
There it is everybody, there's the start of our new hashtag WIAGW noise thing. Remember, send me more sounds, we're doing shit with them now. Here we go. So this week, I was racking my brain. I was really putting some mind power into it, thinking about, hey, what's an interesting thing to talk about right now? You know, what looks good? What looks cool? What looks dope? Well, guess what? I fucking found it. Or should I say, the complete opposite. That's right, everybody. This week, we're talking about Neo Yokio, the new fucking weirdo Western anime show that just came out, and nobody knows what the fuck's going on with it. And let me tell you, this show is, without a doubt, the lowest quality, least intellectually provoking, lazy piece of work I've ever seen in my life, is what I would say. But there's something about this series. There's just something that appeals to my sensibilities. I can't put my finger on it. Nah, forget all that. I'm just fucking with you. This show's actually not bad. So the first question we've got to ask is, what the hell is Neo Yokio? Who's responsible for this thing? And what the hell are we looking at? So I don't know about you, but I first heard about this project associated with Jaden Smith, as in Will Smith's son. You know, the crazy guy who's known for incredible witticisms like this. Looking into it though, he actually didn't have any role in the production of the show or anything. He just voices the main character. This is actually a project by this guy Ezra Koenig from the band Vampire Weekend. I don't know who the fuck that is. I don't know what that band does, but hey, that's cool, man. This show definitely has a style that intellectuals like Jaden would appreciate, I think. So okay, first of all, let's just talk about the name, Neo Yokio. Obviously a combination of Tokyo and New York. It's like this Japanimation bullshit, you know? And you know, as I was watching this show, I couldn't help but think of an old show called Totally Spies. Totally Spies is the show that I feel is most akin to Neo Yokio. Or like that other one, Migu Mikey, I don't know, like the one about the American guy in Japan. Like they're both like Western cartoons that have like anime influences. God, is there anything more cringy than the idea of anime influences on a Western cartoon? Not really. And let me tell you, it does not survive the transition here much better. The moments when it goes full anime are among the worst in the show. And they're not crazy, they're not huge moments, they're like the little sweat drop appears. There's a right way and a wrong way to do it. Like the best it's ever been done was in like Teen Titans, the original series, where like, yeah, there was some corny anime bullshit in there too, but like the show was just great, so nobody really cared that much. I would not say the transition was as good here, but it also doesn't come up nearly as much, so it's not a big of an issue. This is not an anime. This is not an anime in any way. It should not be counted as one. If someone says that it is, they're fucking lying to you. What this is, however, is a pretty damn funny, woke-ass show that I quite enjoyed the 6 episodes that are out for season 1 right now. And I would recommend you watch them too. Have yourself a Toblerone while you do. So considering the fact that this reminded me of Totally Spies so much, it was pretty damn funny to watch like that art style come to life with a bunch of people being like, you know, dumbass socialites in this fucking weeb-ass New York. You know, that was funny. Watch them say fuck and shit and swear a bunch. I like that, as well as, you know, be drunk and be debauched in general. That was cool, but that's not really what the series is about. This show is about classy gentlemen. Consider our main character Kaz Khan here, of course played by Jaden Smith, who, by the way, does a pretty shitty job. Just saying. His delivery was so forced a lot of the time, but who gives a fuck? Oh god, and of course the animation was like 1 frame per second sometimes, but who gives a fuck? I don't. If it's funny, it's funny. Anyway, so Kaz here, his whole deal is he wants to be a fancy, proper gentleman. And I actually like that they put in the effort to build in like different class structures. Like there's a whole mythos to Neo Yokio. So, you know, it's New York / Tokyo, whatever. It's basically just New York. The Tokyo influences are negligible. But like, you know, there's a little bit of lore laid about how this is a city-state and the world is full of city-states. And they've got like a Lord Mayor or something. Whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is, they put a little thought into it. I appreciate that. It's cool. But how that affects Kaz's character is that, okay, so Kaz is descendant from a bunch of mages that were brought to Neo Yokio long ago when there was an infestation of demons that they needed wizards to deal with. And like, from back in those days, they used to call wizards rat catchers, and that's like a racist word for them now. It's fucking hilarious. That was like one of the best jokes in the series. Fucking rat catchers, lowly scum. But it wasn't really a racist term. It's more of an idea of like the class divide, because this mage class, the magistocracy, I believe there was an actual word for it, as opposed to the people who lived there originally, who like brought them in, like those people look down at the fucking disgusting rat catchers. It's pretty fucking hilarious. And Kaz is all like, oh no, I gotta show those old money fucks that we're just as good as them. We can't let them get one over on us. But like, he's always having to do these money-making jobs for his penny pinching fucking aunt and shit. I don't know, man. It's cool, you know? Like, I like Kaz. Like, he's got passion, you know? He's got a legitimate passion. And what is that passion for? It's fashion and being a fucking gentleman of elegance. And god damn it, it's infectious.
You are vain. You are foolish. And quite frankly, you're not even that elegant.
How dare you?
Just look at this man. I want to be the Caprese boy too. So yeah, the point is that Kaz is pretty cool. He's funny. He's a male role model, but he's not perfect. He's like vain, and you know, he's got flaws that make him funny. You know, he's just a fun character to watch. He really is. And he's got a couple of friends. Who gives a fuck about them? He's got this robot butler, you know, feeding into the absurdist idea of the city. There's like a section of Neo Yokio, which is kind of the real main character. It's all about that. There's just like a section of it that's just underwater. It's just like an underwater section where his friend Helena lives. Like, it's pretty fucking funny. And I don't know, man, it's just about him like going around being a demon slayer, because remember, like, he's descended from these mages. They still kill demons to this fucking day. It's like what their clan does, and he's got to earn money for it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty funny. Like, the idea of what the demons even are is like never addressed in any way. But that strikes me as just like a funny thing that the writers didn't need to explain. In fact, that's so obvious I feel stupid even bringing it up. Let's move on. I just really respect that Kaz is so committed to the idea of being a proper gentleman. You know, like, I really appreciate a man who has passion on that level. He is on message at all times for this shit. You can't be showing up to the black and white ball in a fucking navy blue suit, you idiot! God damn it! It's all about commitment, you know? Commitment to the bit. Incidentally though, just to put a cap on the whole weebness issue, I did want to point out a few things that were kind of egregious. I believe it was episode 2 where the term hikikomori was used like 1,000 fucking times. Like, it gets used throughout the story to like describe the character of Helena, who, yes, is trapped in her room and won't come out like a hikikomori. But like, the labors that the show goes through to force that word in your face, to be like, look how kawaii I am. Like, it's literally shit that we would mock a person for saying if they were in front of us. And this show is like, I feel like it's honestly trying to like spoon feed us. Like, oh, okay, you're in a Western audience, you don't know what a hikikomori is. Let me explain it to you, like, repeatedly while I use the word. Why do these people even have the word hikikomori in fucking Neo Yokio? There is zero Japanese influence on this actual city. What's happening? Whatever, the point is it was really forced. To be fair, I know they were going for cringiness on some level and like self-awareness about how ridiculous this all is. There is without a doubt a strong element of refined absurdism throughout the show. But like, you have to judge these things individually. Did they intend for the hikikomori thing to be a joke? Almost certainly yes, to some degree, but how long are we willing to sit here and listen to them slowly trot out hikikomori? Wait, you mean Helena stays in her room all the time? I know it's a small point, but I spent years studying this shit. Let me use what I know. They also throw around the word Ichiban when they're referring to Kaz throughout the show, because he's number one. Ichiban means number one. Like, that's fine. Like, you can do that. If you live in a city that's like a fusion of the East and West, I get it. But like, there is no Japanese influence here. I didn't see like a single drop other than them forcing the word Ichiban and hikikomori into conversations. I don't know, man. What the fuck am I supposed to feel? Let's move on. On a more substantive note, though, there were a couple elements the show tried to explore a little more deeply. The show looks a little bit into aristocratic ennui. Oh, God, I'm so fucking smart. You know, where you're rich and you're bored, you don't give a fuck about anything. You know, the show explores that a little bit through the character of Kaz. You know, it's fine. It's kind of cool. So there was an element here of, like, examining capitalism here, right? To some degree, the show does feel like it's sort of making fun of the capitalistic system, is lampooning it a little bit, and then at the end, it's just like, yeah, okay, we're really, like, challenging this a little bit. With the character of Helena just being like, yes, I hate capitalism. Like, this city is evil. I'm telling you that. This is what I feel. While Kaz represents, like, the naive sheep who's just like, yay, materialism, etc. And, you know, the show can make those points all it wants, but, like, who's the one in their room like a fucking loser while Kaz is out there living his life? You know? Fucking Helena, you know? Just to clarify, she is like a fashion blogger, friend of Kaz's, turned into a NEET after she realizes that, like, the society they live in fucking sucks and she wants to blow it up. Okay, see, the thing about that is, that's fine. You can make that argument that, like, capitalism is evil, and I know there's an element of humor and irony to this whole thing, but, like, you can make that argument that capitalism has flaws, but you have to actually make the argument, because everything we see of Neo Yokio looks fucking great. There is almost no problems until the last episode. So like throughout the show, Helena is telling us like, oh, Neo Yokio is so evil, so fake, everything sucks, even though everything is going just fine, Kaz seems perfectly happy, etc, etc. But then in the last episode, like there's this big race happening, all of a sudden, one line changes everything. They're in this race, and they're like, wait a minute, this race goes through Old Town, or whatever the fuck it was called, Old Long Island or something. And Kaz is like, oh no, like there are people there, we can't race there. And the other races are like, don't you remember? Neo Yokio literally has a policy where we don't care about the lives of the slum people who live in like Old Town or whatever. It's like, whoa, what a fucking left turn we just took from just like people being bourgeois and fancy and wanting to impress each other and look pretty to, okay, now we just disregard the lives of a certain class of human being. Like, okay, you can get to that point and make your criticisms, but like nothing about Neo Yokio introduced that point up to here. So like, where the fuck is this coming from? It's a fine criticism to make. It's cool, but like, it's really, really awkward the way that that wasn't introduced at all up to this point. Like, the biggest thing the show did was, you know, Helena was saying, like, capitalism's evil, etc. But then, like, all we saw was just, like, a bunch of bourgeois people, like, were kind of jerks to each other. They really were not bad people. Like, Archangelo, like, the greatest man who ever lived, by my fucking hero, like, he just comes around and he shits on Kaz, because, like, they're rivals in being fancy boys, and on the bachelor tier list that is, like, a state-imposed thing. Now, that's fucking great. The fact they've got a hierarchy, an official hierarchy in the city, of who is the #1 ranked bachelor in the fucking city. That's fucking hilarious. And, you know, fits in with this whole narrative of, like, criticizing materialism, but, like, none of it's a problem until that last episode where they just drop a bomb. Oh, by the way, we just hate these people. It's like, okay, were you building to this point? Because it just, like, was dropped on us, and then you backed away and just look at it. Just look at everybody. And there was no fanfare. There was no fanfare to this at all. So it did not feel like they were building to it. It felt like bad writing. That's the point. And I know things aren't painted in absolutes. Like, Kaz is not a bad guy. He's just someone who's, like, part of this system that they're criticizing a little bit. It's not that serious, I know that. But it's funny, compared to, like, there's another character introduced in one of the last episodes, or the second to last, like this lady racer from the Soviet Union / Russia. Like, she arrives and is like, wow, you have so much more than I have because I live under fucking communism and it sucks dick, and I have nothing. So we're supposed to, like, sympathize with, like, oh, wow, that sucks for her. Oh, by the way, capitalism is also evil. So, like, what the fuck are we supposed to do? You know, what system do we go with if all the choices are shit? But just, like, look at Neo Yokio. I think capitalism is working. And, like, the very end of it, the very close, is that, like, Kaz is just reflecting on his experiences and all this shit that went down. And Helena literally terrorized and blew up the fucking bachelor hierarchy tier list thing that's in the middle of town square. Fucking hilarious. And he's just like, oh, now that I've been through all these adventures, I feel so, I'm so woke now. He's gone full Neo Yokio! And now I understand that there's a darkness behind this city. Like, what's the darkness? What the fuck is the darkness? You can't just trot out that we disregard the lives of people at the last second and expect me to be like, oh right, I totally buy into that. Like, what the fuck? Kaz didn't even know about this. Whatever, sloppy writing, sloppy writing. But in case you can't tell, I enjoyed this show. I liked it quite a bit. It was a lot of fun to watch, and I don't mean to harp too much on these, like, small nitpicks about, like, the writing and the cleanness of the story and what the, like, the ideas they were trying to get at, because this was clearly mostly an exercise in just, like, goofing around and having fun. You know, this is like a star-studded cast, but to be fair, you know, like, it had, like, guys like Susan Sarandon and Jaden Smith and other people. I'm like, you know, that's a collection of people who are pretty, you know, pretty with the socialism scene. So I don't feel like it's a stretch to say the show might be trying to make some real political points. But again, I don't think that's the main idea behind this. I certainly didn't go into it thinking that, like, okay, it's time to learn some serious political issues here. This is a show that is fun to watch because it's fucking ridiculous. And again, I want to raise the question, how seriously should we take any of the points made in this fucking show? Very, very little. It is an extremely ironic show. It makes fun of itself all the time. Just like, it's good, man. This is a good show. So there you go. That's my thoughts on Neo Yokio. Let's move on to the P.O. Box. Transition. Okay, today's P.O. Box is going to be short and sweet one more time. We've got 2 letters, everybody. Okay, let's see what we got here. Can you point me to an artist who I can commission stuff for too? Maybe. I need some fans for help. Borrow yours. Gotta start somewhere. Share link with crowd. I don't do free publicity for people. This is not what the show is about, shouting at people, you know? And I know it's a little bit ambiguous, you know, I've been shouting at my buddy Stanford recently quite a few times. What do we got? Okay, I see some drawings, some scanned drawings. Oh, Jesus, look at all these fucking words. Look, if you want fans to draw you fan art, cultivate an audience over years like I did, you know? Work your way up. Don't expect to just send me a letter and I will just, like, order my fans to do things for you. I don't expect my fans to even do things for me. The only reason people send me letters is because I'm giving them something in return. This message. I appreciate the letter, but, you know, you're on your own, buddy. Okay, on to our next letter. Let's see what we got here. Will Christ in a handbag hit Stanford again? All right, maybe we need to stop this whole organization, Stanford. This is going on too long. People are going to say such things about us. Dear best guy ever, check out... Okay, this guy, he wants me to plug another channel. I don't know, guys. What should I do? Should I keep plugging channels? Like, that's not what this is for. That's not what this section is for. This is to open up funny mail. I don't expect to get like $150 models like some people said. I just thought it'd be fun to like read letters from people. But now people like want me to give them shit in this section. I don't know. Like this feels weird. This feels like it's going in a direction I did not intend, and we might need to do something about it. All right, Stanford. Here's a message. I'm gonna read this, but we're gonna tamp down on this. I have read literally everything that I've gotten so far, but I might need to do some selective choices here. So we'll see. No criticisms to you, Stanford. I understand what you're doing. I haven't said anything to the otherwise, but let's you know, let's be aware of this fact. Dear best guy ever, check out my honest thoughts on Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, 12 minutes, by Kaiser Trigger. Probably not going to, but hey. You know, the problem with that is like saying my honest thoughts on Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maids. I don't care what Kaiser Trigger's thoughts are because I don't watch Kaiser Trigger. You need something provocative like Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid made me cry. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid killed my baby. You know, like, you need something like, whoa, oh, I see. I better check this out. You see what I'm saying? Okay, good. Also, can we get some spicy, dank JoJo poses from you, preferably without a shirt, that we may meme upon? Stanford. No, you may not. Oh, but you know what I'll do? I'll give you this image. Me and my buddy took this, I believe, when I was in Philadelphia, I think. Yeah, we were hanging out, we did that. So there you go. Here's a JoJo pose I did. I'm not taking off my shirt. That's just too much work. Bringing up this whole dictionary.com thing from the last time you wrote in. I'm sorry, dude. One's all you get with that. You're on your own. But thank you again for the $2. The $2 scholar, Stanford, my dude, and thanks again. We're running a little low on the mail these days, aren't we? Oh well. Like, send me letters, you know? Like, that's what I would like. I don't want gifts. This is not about gifts. This is about involvement, you know? Send me a fucking letter about an anime that you like. I would love to read somebody's thoughts on a show and just be like, bam, 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 so-and-so said this. Now, that I could get into. I'm not interested in shouting people out. I'm not interested in being given money in this section. You know, that's not what it's about. This is about involvement, you know? You and me, baby boy. You and me. And let's move on to those questions. No, she's not. Okay, here we go. Question time. God damn, I'm answering this because I'm sick of these fucking questions. At Ancients Lord asks, have you watched/read JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? God damn it, yes. I've read so much of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I know fucking everything about it. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, excuse me. I've read everything. I know everything about it. Why do people ask so many fucking JoJo questions? You goddamn anime fans coming in now and being like, hey guys, did you hear about this thing JoJo? Yes, I've been reading it for over a fucking decade. I know about JoJo. Okay, I'm sorry. It's not about you, dude. Don't mean to attack you. It's just like, there's so many fucking JoJo questions. It's blowing my mind. My favorite JoJo is Johnny. My second favorite is Jolene. My favorite part is part 4. My second favorite part is part 7. My favorite villain is Kira from part 4. Oh, and I don't necessarily have a favorite stand, but Sticky Fingers and Stone Free are very high on the list. Are we good? Does that answer all the JoJo questions? I think it does. Okay, we're moving on. Okay, here we go. At Lion Lover 2005 says, on your Patreon, why don't you offer watch parties like Mother Basement does? Excellent point. You know, I'm totally open to the idea of expanding the rewards I offer on Patreon, and I'll be totally upfront, like I have been before about this. The reason I don't do extra stuff on top of what I do normally for my Patreon is just because I don't have time. Like I've talked about many times, I run a full-time job. You know, I have a full-time job, and I do this shit, you know, because I'm trying to make this my full-time career eventually. So I really just don't have time in my week to like make that happen. I am fucking buried in various projects between doing this, working on my larger projects that I work on all the time when I'm not doing WIAGW, fucking WIAGW, as well as like all my PCP work and other stuff like the Pod D cast I do with Gibbo. It's all kinds of crazy stuff. I have very little time. See guys, that's the thing. That is exactly why I want to go full time, so I can make those kind of changes to improve my business model going forward. So hey, patreon.com/bestguyever. make me free, and you will see more of that kind of stuff. And I know it's silly to like say, ooh, if you pledge to me, maybe then I'll start to give people rewards, but like that really is part of the plan. So, you know, it is what it is right now. This content is what is produced because I get that money, but in the future it'll expand. So there you go. At Jared Bryan 6 asks, when's your birthday? July 1st, every year. Same birthday as Pamela Anderson. Just saying. At Megasonic999 asks, do you read manga on your phone? Why or why not? Also, I recommend Shiori Experience. I think you'll like it. Well, thank you. Maybe I'll take that up. I do read it on my phone sometimes. I find that my screen, I have a Galaxy S5. It's not big. I actually am going to get a new phone pretty soon, I think. But I find it perfectly reasonable. I spend a lot of time using my phone as just like my various multi-purpose computer, and it's pretty satisfactory. I quite like it. You know, I can pinch and zoom and shit if I need to see a panel in more detail. Yeah, I find it works pretty well, personally. How about you? Somebody want to comment about this? Have a discussion in the comments. I don't know, whatever you want to do. At Uebo7 asks, Made in Abyss is over, so when are you or did you going to finally finish Made in Abyss Weekly? Don't know exactly when, but it will happen. It is planned to happen, so get back to you on that. At Sizulim Jula, I think that's right, asks, you ever heard of Homestuck, boy? How high do you even need to be to ask that question? I've read all of Homestuck, yes, found it quite good overall. And our final question, Schopenhauer7 asks, did you watch Neo Yokio? Toblerone! Alright, that's enough questions for one day. We're done with that shit. Please pledge to my Patreon, patreon.com/bestguyever, so I can go full-time and make far more content and expand the kind of reward tiers I have. Again, right now, what you pledge for is the content that you're seeing before you right now, allowing me to lean forward into making more of this content so that one day I can do it full-time. But every little dollar helps, so please don't be afraid. You should go subscribe to The Procrastinators Podcast at the link provided, a weekly podcast, and much more that I do every week with all my internet buddies, Hypocrite, Digibro, Endless Jess, Ben Saint, the list goes on. Me and Digi also do Ricksty Minutes every week where we review the new Rick and Morty episode. So there you go. Pledge $5 to that Patreon and you get access to the bonus episodes too. There's 7 of them now. If you're a weekly One Piece reader like me and have been for 1,000 billion years, you should subscribe to the Podcast, me and Hypocrite's weekly One Piece review show. It's a hoot and a half. You should watch it. Another happy effect that happens from having that show is that some people are actually forced to read One Piece so that they can watch that podcast, which is the best possible outcome. Everyone should read One Piece. And lastly, I've still got some Mia Maffa merch kicking around. If you want to get some of that, click the link down below to my Redbubble account, and there will be some updates to that soon with more merch, so there you are. Okay, everybody, thanks for watching this week's WIAGW noise. Juicy. And with that, we're done, everyone, with WIAGW today. I will see you next time, everybody. Here we go. Bye!
Good thing I brought my vape.